Hi, my name is Jerry. This is my channel where I make things, and my last year as a graduate student has been kicking my butt recently, so I guess videos are coming out at the end of the month now, instead of the beginning like I'd originally planned. Anyway, I bought a camera. This one's my old one, my Samsung WB250F. It's a little point-and-shoot camera from Samsung back in 2011, and for the 10 years that I've had it, it's been fantastic. It's great at taking photos. It does good enough at video when compared to a similarly priced modern smartphone, but I'm starting to outgrow it for three reasons. First, it only records in 1080p, 30 frames per second, for a maximum of 20 minutes at a time. That causes me many issues while editing. Whether I'm trying to synchronize audio whenever I record for more than 20 minutes, or if I'm trying to crop in, that way I can show you something in more detail. 1080p means that I'm losing quality since I'm uploading these videos in 1080p. Next up, I can't actually change any of the settings while I'm recording. If I want to change the aperture or focus on this camera, I have to stop my recording, change the setting, and start a new recording. Worst of all, I can't even set the exposure on this camera when I'm recording video, which means if I'm taking a video of a scene that's going to have a lot of transitions from black and white areas, it's going to try to automatically adjust the brightness to match what it's looking at. And that can actually become a problem. But the main reason I need to replace this camera is the screen on the back. That's the only way that I can see what the camera sees. So if I need to place the camera like this, recording myself, I have no idea if the camera can see me, whether I'm in frame or in focus, what the zoom level looks like. And shots like this, where I need to show you something that I'm doing with my hands, it's a similar problem. So having a camera that can record in 4K, for an unlimited amount of time, let's see, where I can change all of the settings on the camera while it's recording, and it has a flip-out screen. That's what I'm looking for. So, to accomplish all those goals, I purchased myself a Panasonic Lumix G85, a Micro Four Thirds camera from 2016 that falls right on the line between an enthusiast-grade camera and a professional-grade camera. Now, that placement is great for me because the camera does pretty much everything that I need it to, but it's still affordable. To be more specific, I paid just under $500 for the camera body and two cheap lenses to get me started with. And you can find YouTube videos that'll recommend a entry-level camera for YouTube starting at $1,000. It's absolutely crazy. Now, even though I do not regret purchasing this camera, and the price is honestly not that bad, $500 is still a ton of money. About 2 to 3 months worth of the budget that I intended to spend on this YouTube channel. So, instead of spending more money to make a fresh new project from scratch, I decided that for this video, I will instead show you 4 small, low-effort projects that I made for or with this camera with a total budget of $0. Now to get one thing out of the way real quick, zero budget means that I'm not allowed to spend anything specifically for this project. I can use stuff that I already have, and I have made some very convenient purchases before starting this challenge, so bending the rules slightly. Anyway, I've learned that rambling for 20 minutes before showing you something interesting is bad for viewer retention, and also I don't have much time left on this SD card, so let's just get started. Here's an interesting photo. This is the tip of a cotton swab. Here's another one of a circuit board. And here's a short video clip showing that I definitely have an ant problem going on right now. Now what these images have in common is that the subject that I'm taking a photo of, or video of, is up close to the lens, like crazy close. And in theory it should not be possible for me to take these kind of photos with the lenses that I have. Neither of them are able to focus that close to the lens. I can get pretty close, and I can zoom in further as needed, but there's some degree that if I get the camera any closer, the subject's going to be blurry, no matter what I do. Now, I was going to show you a montage telling you about how the first lens that arrived at my house had some fungus inside, which is fine because that's how I got such a good deal on it. And then I started pointing a flashlight through it, trying to get a closer look at the fungus, only to realize that it was projecting a dot of light on the wall. And then I continued tinkering until I got that light focused into a clear image of what I thought was an internal lens within the actual lens itself, only to realize that it was actually a projection of the flashlight. So I verified that with other flashlights, and then eventually tried putting a film in front of it from a Viewmaster slide, only to finally tell you that I'm using the lens backwards here. I'm projecting light from the part that goes onto the camera out through the other end of the lens that's supposed to take light in, only to point out that you can use the lens backwards. And that's how we're going to get into this first project, reverse lens macro photography. Just to be clear, I didn't discover this, by the way. It's something that I knew about before I even bought the camera. I just think it's really cool. And I don't know if I have anything else to talk about. I'm just trying to stall because I have a lot of photos to go through and I don't know if I want to put music here. Anyway, yeah, this is one way that you can take really close-up photos of small stuff. Although there are better ways, and I might look into some of those in the future, such as extension tubes or correctional lenses that you can put on the end of your camera lens. But if you want to do macro photography at any real level, you kind of need that, because the way I was holding my lens up to my camera body to take all these photos works fine for stationary stuff. But if I were taking photos of a spider and it jumped, my camera body would be on the ground next to me and the lens would be an easy 10 or 15 feet away in the ground, hopefully not broken, but you know. I'm running out of time, so let's move on to the next project. For the next project, I just want to show some random time lapses that I took using a tripod that I borrowed from my university library. Sometimes I'm going to need to take time lapses for this channel, particularly 2 months ago, 3 months ago actually. I made a video of a polar graph, a pin plotter robot, something that I might be tinkering with a little bit more in the future, but I had to take some time lapses of the artwork that it was making, and I had to do that with my phone because my Samsung camera has no way to do time lapses. This one does. Alright, moving on to the next project because I'm running low on time. I originally purchased this camera so I could put it on a tripod and record either myself, like I'm doing now, or my hands working on something. And while the camera will do perfectly fine for that, it turns out I kind of like tinkering with photography as a hobby. The very first day that I got the camera, I brought it out with a friend of mine who's been a professional photographer for her entire life. And I got some interesting photos around a local park, but it was a little bit sketchy just holding the camera without any protection. If I were to drop it, it would be on the ground and I would be out $500. Now, you can purchase a camera strap, like a thing that goes around your neck, clips onto the camera body, and you can wear your camera like a necklace, which, for let the records show, $500 camera as a necklace would be the most expensive piece of clothing that I've ever worn. But I don't really like the idea of using a neck strap. I'm fine holding my camera in my hand the entire time. And I don't really like the limited range of movement that a neck strap gives you. Plus, I don't really like the idea of my camera dangling at any point. So what I'm really looking for is just a way to protect my camera from falling on the ground should I drop it, or should somebody try to rip it out of my hands. What I really need is basically to be handcuffed to my camera. And they make something kind of like that, just a camera hand strap. You just put it around your wrist and then it connects to one side of the camera. And they're honestly not that expensive. But if you scroll through Amazon, you'll see some that look like they won't be too difficult to make. So I took some paracord that I already had, as well as some cord locks that I already had, and started following a tutorial on making one of these. Anyway, after a good 30 minutes of effort, you can finally cut off the excess paracord, burn the edges so that they stay together, and then finally you have a camera strap. And with that, I've been able to bring my camera around my campus and take tons of interesting photos, 90% of which are just photos of squirrels, but still awesome photos. The fourth and final project that I want to talk about is something a little bit weird. It's called a polariscope. Now, to tell you what a polariscope is, I got to talk about what a polarizer is, or a polarizing filter. You can get these filters that you can attach to the end of your camera lens, and they apply different effects. There's simple ones like an ultraviolet blocking lens, which, as stated, can block ultraviolet. Most people just use those as just protection for the lens against any, like, dust or scratches. There's other ones like an ND filter, neutral density, that will let you darken your image without having to reduce your exposure time or reduce your aperture size. Of course, the subject for this project is a polarizing filter, which blocks polarized light in a way that you can configure what orientation of light that you want to block. The way it works is that you screw it on the front of your lens, point at something where there are reflections, such as a flowing stream of water. Then as you turn the polarizing filter, there will be a spot where it blocks reflections off of that surface. Now this works with moving water, still water. It can also change the way the sky looks, but I don't know if I have a clip of that. It can also change the reflections on cars, although I know I don't have a clip of that. The point is, there's a lot of reasons that you might use a polarizing filter to take better photos. But in the context of a polariscope, what we care about is blocking polarized light from a polarized light source, like the LCD screen on a computer monitor, TV, or a cell phone. Now I've got a polarizing filter on this camera, and I could rotate the filter, that way you could see the light being blocked from here, but also if I rotate my phone, you can see it be blocked in the same way. Now being able to block polarized light like this is already a pretty trick on its own, but when you combine it with a clear piece of plastic in between the polarized light source and the polarizing filter, it becomes far more interesting. Now I don't have all the background knowledge to tell you exactly how and why this works, but what I can say is that this method can be used to see the internal stresses in plastic parts. But really, the fun thing about this is that you get to see lots of pretty rainbow colors. Time for another montage. But yeah, that about wraps up the video. 4 small projects, low effort, 0 budget, reverse lens macro, time lapses, camera hand strap, polariscope. Except I got 1/5 one that didn't quite make the list because I had to spend money on it, and I didn't film any of it. But I'm proud of it, I want to show it off real quick. This is a bag that I made to carry my tripod around. Bit hard to demonstrate on camera because my tripod is currently holding my camera, but whenever I was walking around campus taking time lapses with a tripod borrowed from my campus, I got used to the bag that it came with. So when I finally found the quick release plates that I needed for my old hand-me-down tripod, I checked out a tripod from the university library again, and brought it over to a makerspace with a sewing machine and meticulously copied over the pattern onto some fabric that I got on clearance, and spent like several hours putting the bag together. It's not as good quality as the original, but I'm proud of it. I'll be using it to continue taking probably plenty more photos of squirrels. Anyway, I need to move all my files off the camera so that I can edit this video together, hopefully get it uploaded before the end of the month, which I don't have much time left to do. And if all goes well, then I'll see you guys again on Halloween, if my schedule allows.